Making our way towards the top of the maze, after we get done going through the ancient ruins, we make our way into the water and head to this little small island with 2 Armos on it. We activate the one on the left as the one on the right is still just a statue, and it opens up a little passage underneath. So we go down into this cave and make our way through to get our way towards the entrance of the Face Shrine. Emerging on the other side, we immediately head to the right and we can see the spot where we put the key in, so we put it in, and this is going to actually raise the entrance of the shrine out of the ground, which I thought was kind of a neat little touch. Other than that though, we just head inside. We're going to start off by going to the left, because if you were like me and you went to the right, you basically hit a dead end because we need the item for the dungeon to even progress that way. So go into the next room on the left, and we're actually going to encounter the Wizrobe for the first time. And this is an interesting enemy because from what I can understand, it's really hard to hurt them unless you have the boomerang. So just if you have the boomerang, I didn't know that you could use the boomerang when I was doing this, but you can use the boomerang to stun them and then hit them again and it will actually kill them. You'll probably see some footage of that later. But anyways, I went ahead. So once you make it to the room with the crystal, take out the little mimic shy guy, and then we can start activating this little color crystal to start messing with the platforms here. Obviously you're going to need it to be blue so that way you can move on to the next room. Entering this next room, there is a bomb wall on the right that I'm going to go ahead and blow up. You can actually go in here and kill a couple of enemies, and once you do, it'll open up a staircase in the top right of the room. It kind of sends you into a little side-scrolling section, but once you emerge on the other side, you realize that you need to have the color crystal on the blue setting, so the blue ones are down, or maybe that would be orange. Either one. You need them to be down. Blue down. Anyways, backtracking just a tad, we go back to the room where we first found the Wizrobes, and we take them out now that I know that you can use the boomerang on them. Go into this top right room and open the chest for a free 50 rupees. We can't move that elephant statue just yet, so we're just going to head back over to the color crystal. Because I was so curious what was on the other side of that room, I use a pro gamer move to activate the crystal as I walk across, and just in case you're curious of what's up here, it's just a stone statue that you put the beak in, so don't even worry about it. Just go back to the other room. Not important. Anyway, emerging on the other side of the room, we immediately head up into the next room, and we see 2 pedestals. One has a fairy in a jar, and the other one has a chest on it. We open the chest, and we actually get the item for the dungeon, which is, boom bam, the new and improved power bracelet. So with this new and improved power bracelet, we can pick up heavier things, as you imagined. So we can now pick up these elephant statues that we see all across the room. So going up, it brings us right back out to the color crystal here, and we can start messing around here. If you can see in the top right of this room, there's actually one of those little room like doors where you have to throw a pot up against it, but because there's no pot, we use the little elephant statue. So, walking into this room, there's a little heart power-up floating in the air, and we take this elephant statue and bust open that door on the bottom of the screen, and we open up this chest for a free 100 rupees. Going through here, it just brings us back to that chest that we got 50 rupees from earlier, so it just kind of brings us all full circle here. Going back to the room with the bomb wall, we go to the left and we emerge into a new room with a couple more Wizrobes that we can take out. And by the way, don't be like me and just skip over this room with the Wizrobes in it. If you actually kill all of the Wizrobes in the room, a chest will appear on the right side of the room and it will give you the map. This is going to be super helpful, unlike when I was playing through it, as I got this at the very end of the playthrough pretty much, and I already knew what I was doing, so pro tip there. And there's a new color crystal here. You can either use the bow and arrow or the boomerang if you have either one to activate that color crystal if you need to. Other than that, we're going to head up, and then there's a little pot door, so we can throw one of these little pots at the door to open that. And just so that way we don't have to reset this room and go to the right, we're going to see what's up here, which is another like little pathway to the right and a couple of sparks that are flying around. Heading to the right, we see a star flying around a little chest. And opening that chest, we get the compass. Heading up the stairs, make sure that the crystal is on the blue setting, because once you make your way all the way to the end of this little corridor here, and you go up into this little next room, all of the tiles are red, and there's 2 Wizrobes and a bubble. Kill the Wizrobes, and a key will actually drop down from the ceiling here. Backtracking a little bit and making sure the crystal is still blue, we head back into this room where we can now actually pick up one of these elephant statues and open that door at the top. Yeah, quick side note, if you kill any of the sparks or anything like that in each room, I think it will give you a fairy pretty much almost every time. It's not every single time, but you get fairies pretty often from those, so that's very nice. Anyway, head into this next room for this weird puzzle. So I can only imagine if you're watching this guide for a particular reason, it's probably this puzzle here. We've never seen these before in the game, but pretty much they act like actual chess pieces do, where in real chess the horse or the knight is they move on an L like pattern, so you pretty much have to make sure that when you throw the chess piece that you do it from a spot where it will land in the correct spot in an L shape kinda, and you can see it on the screen. And by the way, if you do end up going through that staircase doorway at the top of the room, you'll end up coming out into an area in the rapids where you'll actually open up the chest to get a free secret seashell. Backtracking to that door and heading to the right, we actually open up this chest to get the stone beak. I don't pretty much ever use these, but if you wanted it, there it is. Making our way back to the beginning of the dungeon, since we're pretty much done with the left side here, we're going to head to the right now and actually see a couple of blade traps and some conveyor belts. Move past those, and in this room there's actually going to be some tiles that come up off of the ground and come towards you. Just make sure you break all of them, and then it'll let you into the next room. Anyway, use the elephant to bust open the door, and now we have a bunch of whiz ropes that we need to take care of. With those out of the way, we're going to head into this bottom room. There's 2 stars that are flying around this room. They're pretty easy enough to take care of. Make sure that in this room the blocks are on, the blue blocks at least, are on the down position, because if not, you're going to have to backtrack a little bit and use the color crystal to change them. Head up the stairs and watch out for the blade trap, unlike myself, and head up and open this chest to find secret medicine that you can actually buy from Crazy Tracy next to the graveyard. This is actually a really nice item to have, because when you get depleted of all of your hearts, it will actually bring you back to life, so it's pretty much just like a second chance. Kind of nice to have. Other than that, though, we're going to hop down and head into this next room. There's a couple of different enemies in here, and then you have to go down into the water, so we're just going to take care of whatever we can and make our way through, and eventually we come to a chest that has a small key in it. Backtracking our way back to the room with the 2 elephant statues in it, we use our new small key to open up this door, and then we have a couple of red souls here. We can take those out pretty easy, and then we bomb the wall on the back wall here to open up a secret passageway. Heading up into this next room, we actually come across the mini-boss for the dungeon, and his name is Rover. He's basically going to pick up this really heavy ball and try to throw it at you, and your goal is to kind of stand far enough away to where he'll throw it, to where he can't grab it so quickly, so that way you can grab it with your new power bracelet and just throw it back at him. As you can see here, I kind of get him into this like little loop, and I start beating the crap out of him, so that was a pretty sweet strat. Making our way through the doorway, we actually come to a room where there's a doorway at the top, but there's 2 statues, and if you pick up the left one, it opens up a staircase. This is actually kind of weird, because if you go through the doorway at the top, it's just going to teleport you back to the room before the mini-boss, so it's meant to do that. There's no way past that. You're supposed to kind of open up that little secret passageway and then head through this little side-scrolling section here. Emerging into this room, though, we come up to another area where the tiles are going to start coming out of the ground. This is actually a little bit more dangerous in this room, just because that underneath each one of them is a hole, whereas in the last one it was just, you can still walk around the entire room no problem, so just be careful where you step here. But once you take all of them out, a small key will drop from the ceiling, so that's nice. Go ahead and grab that. From here, I decided to take the top path, so we're going to unlock that little hole there and go up to find 2 sparks. Get rid of them if you want to, and then grab that little elephant statue, so that way we can bust open this door on the left. And we're going to come up to another room which has another one of these little chess piece puzzles. So solve it, not too hard now that we know how to do it, and then we can head through this door on the left. Walking through the doorway, we see another staircase that will lead us into another side-scrolling section. This one actually has the thwomps in it that will get mad when you get close to them, so use your Pegasus boots here to kind of run past them as quickly as possible. But once we emerge on the other side, we actually have a room with 3 Pols Voice in it. And just because I was interested to see if it worked the same way as it does in a lot of other Zelda games, which it does, by the way, if you use the ocarina to play any song, Pols Voice, because their ears are so big, they're really sensitive to sound, so it will actually destroy Pols Voice no matter what song you play. So this finally gives the Ballad of the Windfish a little bit of use, so that's pretty cool. Anyways, though, after that, head through this door on the top, and then we're actually going to go into a small little maze where we have a couple of different sparks running around the room. Just try to use your boomerang if you have it to kind of avoid this. If not, just use your Rock's Feather to jump over them if you can. Other than that, we make our way to the top where we see another room with these little chest puzzles in it, and there's a chest at the top of the room. After killing the star and uncovering the little spot that we need to throw the actual white piece into, we're going to go up to the stairs and open this chest to get a golden rupee, which is worth 300, so this is kind of a nice bonus to have. This room is completely optional, but I mean, if you wanted 300 rupees, there you go. Make sure that for this, for the right one, you actually have the blue blocks down, so that way you can be in the right position to throw the block onto the little switch, and then we can head back down out of this room and backtrack a little bit to where the Pols Voice were. From here, our next option is to head down, and we come to another sort of mini-boss room, but this isn't actually a mini-boss for the dungeon itself. It's just kind of like a room with one of the mini-bosses that we faced before. So you know the drill here with the Dodongos. You just put the bomb in front of them as they're moving around, and then they should eat it and then explode. Hopefully you have enough bombs for that. If not, you can jump up to the top right here and head back down to kind of make your way around the dungeon to get some more bombs. Other than that, we head through the door on the left and we make sure that we have our hook shot equipped because we're going to need to get across this gap. Use your last small key to open up this little doorway, and then we can kill a star and get past him to make sure that we get to this chest in the top of the room, and there's also a color switch here. I thought it was kind of funny that if you try to open this chest regularly, it just kind of like shakes around, so you have to throw the pot at it to break it open. Thought that was a neat little touch, but we're going to get the nightmare key here, which lets us go and fight the boss. Backtracking our way back to the room where the tiles come off of the floor and there's holes underneath them, we head down to a room that has a vacuum mouth in it. Just if you really feel like trying to kill this thing instead of just going around the edges to kill all of the Zols, just jump in the middle and then hit him with your sword. It doesn't seem like any of the ranged attacks really do much to the vacuum mouth itself, so after you take him out, the room is a lot easier. So other than that, we just head through the right here and we come across a little puzzle with a Beamos. The Beamos is going to shoot at you if it has direct line of sight, so just try to get rid of the Wizrobe that's across the little trench here, and then we can push the block on the right out of the way and get over to the doorway. Once we head through here, there's a couple of torches and a couple of sparks heading around the torches. Get rid of the sparks if you want to, and because I was super OCD about it, I went ahead and lit these torches for some reason. I guess I figured there was going to be a secret, but there wasn't any, so we open up the boss door and head inside. Here we fight a new interesting kind of boss called Facade. I actually really like the design of this boss just because he is like the floor, and if you step like too close on top of him, he'll hurt you, obviously. So he kind of moves around the room, and your goal here is to use bombs, which is not what I was expecting at all. Most of the time you expect to use, you know, whatever the item for the dungeon is, but it doesn't seem to work very well. So he's going to throw a bunch of tiles at you at first, and just get rid of those if you can, and then your whole goal is just going to be to put a bomb on top of him as much as possible, so that way he takes damage, and he's going to try to open up these little like craters in the floor around the room to kind of like suck you in or make you fall down. So just avoid those as much as you can and use as many bombs as you possibly can. After we finally beat him, though, he'll tell us that if we wake the Windfish, everything on the island is going to disappear, and he does mean everything. So that pretty much kind of reassures us that the storyline is kind of heading in a direction where if we wake the Windfish, the whole island is going to disappear. So anyways, grab your heart piece as always, and we're going to head up into the next room to grab our instrument. Walking up to the little pedestal that it's on, we can grab the coral triangle here and listen to the cool little tune that it plays. But after that, it turns the screen white and it tells us that we need to head to the mountains for our next objective. So that pretty much does it for this little guide for you like people that needed it. Hopefully it helped. I try to do my best on these to at least show you where all the items of interest are and everything. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next guide.